Okay, thank y'all so much for tuning on in. So, last time we were talking about what would happen if you invested $1,000 and just let it compound and compared that to just simple interest. So, today we're going to be talking about what would happen if you invest a specific amount of money and you invest that specific amount every single year and get a certain return on that every year. So, starting out, we're just going to assume that we invest $1,000. We'll change that amount to something more optimistic later on, but 1,000 is a good place to start. So, next thing, we're going to be talking about what interest rate and comparing the interest rates. So for now, we'll just assume it's 5%. We'll be comparing the 5, 8, and 8% rates like last time, and we'll also be filling in the gaps just so that y'all can see, what difference it makes. So, starting out, year zero, what happens? You invest $1,000 at the start of the year. Then you multiply it by the interest rate, right? So in this case, it's 5%. So to change it to percentage, you got to divide by 100. Nothing too fancy, same old same. And we messed up. So that's the total interest we earned. We actually need to add a 1 in the parentheses here. So this is $1,000 times 1.05, so 1,050. So that second year, how much do we have? Well, we take that initial investment, then we add another $1,000. So that would be $D $5. Cool. But then, once we've taken those earnings and added that reinvestment of $1,000, again, we're going to multiply by 1 plus our interest rate, which is $10. So $10 divided by 100, of course, because we want it in percentage. And so this pattern continues on and on. We'll go down, I guess, go down about 10 years and see what happens if we can get there. So at the end of year, something went seriously wrong here. Little minor error in the formula. So we'll delete these guys. We'll start from here. Okay, that's more realistic. So sometimes when you drag and drop, you run into problems. But the point is, you've invested, I guess, $11,000 and it's turned into 15 at 5% interest. Now, what if we assume that you have 0% interest? So we'll bring this over here. And we'll bring this one over here. And this is assuming we get no interest, and this formula just exploded. My apologies. Maybe we should go this way with it. Perfect. So now we assume, what if you get 6.5% interest? What happens if you get 8% interest like that first video? What happens if you get 9.5%? And then being really optimistic, what happens if you get 11% returns? We can calculate all of those. And as you can see, at 11% returns, with that $11,000 invested over 10 years, you get $21,000. And like last time, we're going to bring this out. So after 40 years, you've invested $41,000. Really, it's 41 years. At 5% interest, you would have $134,000. At 6.5, $200,000. 8, $300,000. Point is, it gets better and better the better returns you can get. So now we get to look at what would happen if instead of investing $1,000, you invest $1,000 a month, or $12,000 in total. So I guess we need to change this to $12,000 on each of them as well. And we'll go right through here. And it ends up looking like you invest $492,000 over the course of those 41 years, but you make $8.6 million, assuming that you get 11% returns. So now we get to look at this on a graph. Blue line symbolizes 0% returns. You're just investing continuously. Here, you, like shown in the numbers in the previous segment, you hit about $500,000 saving up $1,000 a month for 41 years. I know my indexing is weird, but just bear with me. In comparison, at 5% interest, you get $1.5 million by the end. You've made essentially $1 million on interest over that 40 years. At 6.5, you're right around $2.5 million. At 8, 3.5. At 9.5, you hit $5.5 million. Pretty good returns. And then lastly, if you can get 11%, you would have $8.5 million after 41 years. So it's something to consider. Invest wisely, but invest in something that gives you good returns. And in the next videos, we'll be talking about what those things are.